Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Dirty Rotten Pixies.
Tell me what you want me to do. I don't care at this point. If it makes me not drive 40 minutes just to send an email, I don't care. I'll do it. So I'm just kind of waiting for them to finally meet, because no one in any of our major offices or any of our departments have actually met. They've been like, all right, what are we doing? Everyone's just been like, we're going to do this. Oh, we need to talk about this. Oh, we're not going to meet and talk about this. And so I'm like,
hey, it sounds like Missouri. How fun.
I don't care. Just tell me what to do. Just let me do something, please. And so there's been that, but I'm still just kind of waiting and seeing what's happening. And if I get to stay home and just do nothing but typing, that is fine with me.
I mean, that's the ideal situation. Right?
Yeah.
But
but we have, Shelby and myself have spent significant time watching a lot of Netflix shows. Like there is one that is I think you guys would definitely enjoy. I don't know if you've seen it on social media, but
did you watch The Tiger King?
Yes.
Did you really?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It is so mind blowing, and then
it looks so weird.
Nothing happens of what you think is going to happen.
That's what I keep hearing.
And so it's just like, oh, this is a thing, and then it's just like, psych, this something else happens. You're like, what?
Does it make it even weirder that it's like, yo, one of these dudes is like 2 hours from my house? That's messed up.
So that's actually like several hours from me. Now that you mention it, it is. How far did we figure it out? Yeah. It's 3 hours.
I was close.
But yeah, it is.
I'm bad at Oklahoma geography.
Well, so there's a show that I used to watch, or I still watch. It's called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And they did a promo, or they did a segment talking about third-party runners for the presidential candidacy. And this guy was totally ran for president as a third-party person.
That's where I'd seen him before.
And
you're right. Because I watched that too.
They bring up that segment, and the whole time I'm watching the show, and I'm like, this guy looks familiar, but I don't know in a good way or not.
That's what I was thinking from like the memes and stuff that I've been seeing. Like, man, where have I seen that guy before? Yeah, and you're right. That's what it's from. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it is a very like. It's one of those once in a lifetime things just to watch, to say like, oh, actually a world that happens. And it's, I can't, we're going to watch it again for sure. Just because like when I finished watching it, I was just like,
was that real? Did I really just watch
what? Cause there's things. So it kind of, at first it kind of reminded me of when I don't know if you guys remember when the Mermaid documentary came on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, and then the History Channel did that weird Bigfoot one too. It was like all fake, and that one was
where it painted it as, oh, this is real, but it was totally fake.
Yeah, it was like garbage.
And so like I had that vibe going into this, and I'm like, there's no way this is real. Like there's no chance that this is real. And sure, as it keeps going on and on, it's like, holy crap, this is real. And then they brought up that segment, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And so we've been watching that, which if you get an opportunity, just watch the first episode. Just get your feet in the water, just so you know what everyone's kind of talking about. I don't really jump on, big social things, but we kind of watched this like a week ago, or like a few days ago, actually, before it kind of blew up on social media. And we were basically the pioneers of the
obviously, yeah, the first round. It was you and Kim Kardashian, right?
Yes,
you were right there.
Yes. And so I would just recommend watching the first episode. and that this was a real thing. This is a whole universe of
weirdness,
big cat owners, and it's a weird underworld of that kind of stuff. And so
Did you hear the latest news on it?
Are you referring to that he was suing for over $93 million?
Yes, he was suing for $94 million. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife, his former partner, and several other people for damages, and he is currently seeking a presidential pardon.
Yeah. So he'll
definitely get it in this administration. It's no problem.
He did get kind of
so
screwed
excited
over
about that
by his partners that he was.
Look at Aaron taking sides. There you go. I see.
I was switching back and forth between people I liked and who I didn't like, because it was like, oh, this person's believable, and then like the next episode you're like, oh, I don't like them at all. And they're like, oh, this person seems sane, and then they do like a whole segment on them, and you're like, I don't think that person's very good. And so that's the whole thing with this guy, this Joe Exotic person, where it's just like, oh, he's actually doing it for the care of animals, and then they're like, oh, he's actually doesn't have any money, so he's doing all this stuff to exploit tigers, and then he's like, well, he's actually doing it for for conservation, and then it's like, no, he's just being a spiteful human being. That's terrible. And so it's there's not just a person that you're like, that person. Well, there's like one or two people that in it, like throughout, they're like, oh, a sane person for once, and then something else outrageous happens. And so I think we watched all 7 episodes in like 2 days. Basically, they're like an hour long, maybe 45 minutes long. I don't know. And so I would just recommend just sitting down and just watching the first episode just to say that you saw it and just get the taste in your mouth of what is happening. But that was, that was the kind of the real like thing. There's only been a few things that I've actually ever watched to be like, man, I can't wait for the other episode to come out, or I'm ready for, the new episode. But this was definitely one of them that are like, we can't go to bed yet. We have to watch.
We have to see it.
We have to watch this.
This reminds me of a show that I watched. Hold on. Let me. All right, unplug my phone. I can't remember what channel this was on. I want to say it was one of those. It was either a very bizarre History Channel show from a few years ago. It was called. Maybe like 5 years ago now. Oh, good grief. It was like that, where every time you watched it, you were like, no.
Was it that Hunting Hitler show?
No, it was called Appalachian Outlaws.
Oh.
And it was about people that hunt for and collect and sell ginseng.
Oh.
And it is the craziest thing. Like, there's some like stinking like organized craziness happening with these people, man. It's nuts.
Yeah,
like
big market.
Yeah,
big
and they're like all like got their secret crops in the woods, and then they're all out somewhere else, and then they're doing something. It's all just like shady and like weird, and there's like double crossing, and they're like, we used to hunt together, but now we're not. And you're like, now they're like shoot at each other, and you're like, what the heck is going on? It was the weirdest show. Susan and I would just watch it like it was kind of like that same thing. Like, no, we have to watch this. Like, I can't believe that this is real. Like, I cannot believe that this is a real thing. It was so weird. There's just like these random dudes that like live out in the hills and all this just crazy stuff, and I don't even know, man. It was nuts. Yeah, I feel like part of it was in Arkansas, but that could have been, I think, because this guy in this picture looks a little bit familiar. Like one of the dudes that was in Arkansas or whatever.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
I thought you were about to tell me that because you know him.
No. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I can't. I might be getting parts of it confused with another weird show like that, maybe. But like,
Sure.
it was so weird.
And that's kind of like this other show that we kind of got hooked into. It's called Ozarks.
Oh,
Or the Ozarks. It's about this guy and his family laundering money through the like some Mexican drug cartel. But the place they take it, or it takes place in like Lake of the Ozarks, or like up by
like Camden?
like what is it? What is it called? Crap. The Osage Beach area, like up there, and it's like, whoa, I know exactly where they're at. And even though it's all like fictionalized, but it's just like you're captivated by it because you're like, I know that place.
Yeah,
like I'm from the Ozarks, and so that's been another show that the season 3 just dropped like yesterday, and so we just
it's a Netflix original, and it's got a lot of it's get some good reviews.
Yeah, so that's another really good show. It's I mean that's mostly been my time or our time, just doing work and then going for a walk or something out in the wilderness, fighting off Okies, and then coming home and watching some sort of Netflix show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I finally started watching that. Oh dang! I forgot the name now.
Did you start watching The Witcher yet?
No, I don't have Netflix, man. I'm telling
right.
you, I got Amazon Prime. That's it. And YouTube, which is where I watch all the weird medieval archery stuff.
I will share some. I will share some passwords.
Don't say that. Don't say that out loud. They don't like that. Oh, I started watching that Carnival Row show finally. Since I have time. It's on Amazon. It's this really bizarre, like, kind of fictionalized Victorian England, but like it's sort of plays off of that. It's that vibe, right? But it's like this weird thing where there's like different magical races come and live in the city. It's called like the Burg or something. And like Orlando Bloom is like a cop, and then he used to be a soldier in the army, and he fell in love with this fairy bloomer. And but it's forbidden because they live in a super racist town that's like, no, they're just dirty rotten magic pixies or whatever. It's kind of good, right? It's pretty good so far. I've only watched like 4 episodes, but
interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Not bad.
Wait, what was it called?
It's called Carnival Row. I think it came out like last year, and I've been like, it's one of those ones I'm like, oh, I should watch that. And I hadn't had time before, but now I'm not real busy. So.
Clearly, yeah.
I've been doing that. It's kind of good, right? I think I'm ready. I think I'm on episode 4. I watched episode 4.
Ooh, okay. How many episodes are there?
Let me open this here.
All of them.
I think it's like 8 or something. It's not a lot.
Because I have a tendency to start watching a show and then not realizing how many episodes there are. Because there's sometimes there's some like really good like anime shows out there that's like, oh, there's 60 episodes in a season. You're just like, huh?
This one has 8. There's only one season and it's 8 episodes.
I
can't. I have a problem with. I've tried to watch some anime before, and like finding a starting place, it's just about the most impossible thing ever. Because some of them literally have like 2,000 episodes. You're like, I can't. No, I can't do that.
Yeah, that was my problem with trying to like rewatch like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, I remember watching this from my youth, and it's like 5 episodes go by and like the same thing happens, and you realize like, oh, there's more episodes.
There's 1 billion. There's literally 1 billion episodes.
But then they came out with a thing called Dragon Ball Z I, which is the shortened version of the original Dragon Ball Z series. Like they cut out a lot of the extra episodes because, and I did not know this, whenever they were drawing the original anime, the guy that was making the original graphic novels of Dragon Ball Z was writing them at the exact same time.
Oh, really?
And so he was really slow, and so the
That sounds familiar.
the animators would have to
Not
just
familiar
write
at
like
all. Jeez.
would have to write like filler episodes just so they can kind of stay on par with him. And so if you watch like the original Dragon Ball Z, like
where he's charging up the spirit bomb for like 4 episodes.
So there is that, and then there's also like there are also other random things where they're like,
oh,
it shows
Master Roshi. You're like, what?
Yeah, shows like Gohan going to school, and you're like, what? Why is this here?
When did this turn into a slice of life anime? What's happening?
Yeah, and so it's because so they can keep up with or stay on par with the original animator.
That's interesting. That does make sense because there are a lot of like really random episodes where like Goku and Piccolo are fighting Cell, and you're like, one episode's just about Master Roshi. You're like, what? But what about the
thing you're fighting?
And so the battle of the death and the planet and the thing, like.
We were really focused on that for a little bit, weren't we?
Yeah. No, now you got Master Roshi and Bulma just hanging out. Like,
yeah. But I have a tendency to get caught up on some of those shows where like, oh man, this is interesting, and then there's 30 episodes in a season, and so I gotta put time and invest it into it. Like,
I just can't do it. I've tried before. I've tried watching like Sword Art online.
Oh yeah,
and I got to like the first. It's good. But
it
like,
is good.
And then like there was another one I watched and I can't remember. I was like, it's called like DRRR. It's really good too. But like there's a lot. There's just a lot. And I'm just like, I don't always have time to watch. And sometimes I want to watch, TV or stuff on YouTube and like just chill out on the couch. And this sounds like super lazy and like bad, but like I don't want to read the dub all the time because I'm like tired after I come home from work. So I'm like, I can't read all the subtitles. I'm like, watching with my eyes closed, like fall asleep half the time. So I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, but it really changes it, like really hardcore changes it. What was that? Oh, I was watching Howl's Moving Castle the other day.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, why is Billy Crystal voicing? No, I just can't do this right now.
Oh, right,
because he plays
the fire. Yeah,
he does, and it like really takes me out of that one.
It's fine. It's still good though.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my goodness.
Doesn't like Christian Bale play in that too?
Yeah.
Does he play Howl?
He plays Howl.
Yeah, he does. That's right.
There's lots of like in those Ghibli movies. There's a lot of like random really famous American people do the dubs. And you're like, but what? Where did that come from?
Well, yeah, because when they turned to Disney to be their distributor over here, and that's a pretty big name, and so they were able to get a lot of some big actors for that.
They get like really weird people, and I can't. I want to say that. Hold on. Furiously Googling.
Ooh, I love this part of our shows.
The furiously Googling part where I'm trying to remember who the American voice actor of Porco Rosso is. And I want to say it's somebody, but I don't want to get it wrong.
Definitely don't want to be offending them.
Yeah. Oh, this is just the
IMDb
Japanese cast, which is fine. But yeah, I want to say that that's a good movie. If you haven't seen Porco Rosso, by the way, that's one of those random Ghibli movies that people haven't watched, and it's really good. I like that one.
It is.
I went through a phase a few years ago where I just watched them all. Like I just found them in mysterious places on the internet and watched a whole bunch. Not all of them. I missed a couple. But like
a lot.
I watched a lot of the major ones and a lot of the other ones. There's still a couple that I haven't seen, I think, because I got sidetracked. It was like, I'll do it later. That's the Japanese version. Oh, well, I'll do it later. But yeah, there's just like surprising people.
Yeah, YouTube will sometimes have those random movies
Yeah, they're up for a couple weeks and then they get taken down.
It's like, oh, thanks, YouTube. I appreciate you.
I think that's why I watched some of them. I mean, what? No.
Well, I know they had
Never.
I know they had Millennium Actors up there for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I was right. It's Michael Keaton.
Hey,
Yeah, Michael Keaton is totally the pig.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Okay, I was right. Haha. Yeah, every once in a while they have him on there or something, but you got to watch them fast because they get taken down eventually.
Well, again, there may be some ways to get around that.
True.
Copyright infringement.
It's fine.
Anyway.
Oh.
Collin, what have you been doing this last week?
I'm writing down Howl's Moving Castle.
Princess Mononoke.
Need to watch that again.
That's the best one. My favorite.
It is.
Spirited Away.
I really like Spirited Away as well, but I think Princess Mononoke is still my favorite, just because it was like, I think it's the first one I ever saw.
Yeah.
So there's an extraordinarily strong nostalgia factor for that movie. Because I don't know why I saw that one first. I have absolutely no idea why that was it.
I can tell you.
Can you?
It was
please
well.
me.
I don't know. I know where I saw it. I saw it on a random channel of when we had satellite TV.
Yeah.
It was just playing on one of those. Like, it was just on. It was one of those. It was just on. I remember the first.
I bet we watched it at the same time then, because that's.
Or thereabouts. Yeah, I think we were scanning, just clicking and scanning, and we just stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
And stopped and watched it, and we're like, "What on earth is
awesome.
this?" Because even after watching it, like, if you have to watch it several times, like, there's really not a whole lot of context into what's happening or
really.
why or anything like that, and it's amazing, and you really just get like, yeah, and I agree. I think the 100% the reason why it's my favorite is because it was one of those rare movies where genuinely just stumbled across it, and it has just stuck with me, and it was the gateway into literally everything else.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
that's a fair assessment, because I think it was mine. It was definitely my first one that I watched, my first Ghibli movie, and so, and I think it was probably the same thing. It's probably just on TV. We probably watched it together, because I seem to recall that was the case.
Yeah,
but like, it's like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
What is this?
I can't remember because I definitely remember seeing that, but I think Howl's Moving Castle. Because I don't think I ever watched, or it took me a long time to actually watch Princess Mononoke like all the way through, or because I always seem to watch it or find it when it was like just right after the beginning, and so I was kind of missing some
like the very first part
plot things. But I definitely remember watching things like Howl's Moving Castle or like Steam Boy. Like all the way through, and those kind of definitely being my first real ones of like, oh, I actually know what's going on this time. Because I mean, it took me a while to finally understand Princess Mononoke like all the way through. But I that was definitely one of the first ones that really opened me up to that.
Yeah,
art style, or
I think so too.
Featuring, if you will.
Yeah, I think I just remember Mononoke, and I don't remember what my next one was. I watched some at my friend's house in high school, maybe. But I hadn't watched like Spirited Away until relatively recently. It was a few years ago. I watched that one. I was like, oh no, this is good.
It's also
Kiki's Delivery for Surface.
I think that's the one. I think that might be the one that I didn't watch when I was going through my
your binge.
Watch all the Ghibli movies I could find. I think I missed Kiki's Delivery Service.
That was another one that I think that one was like the Disney Channel, like every once in a while.
Maybe, because Colin's right. They were distributed by Disney in the U.S. for a little while.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I mean that explains a lot.
Because I think that's where I saw Totoro for the first time. It was just sort of like on TV somewhere. And I was like, I saw like half of it. I was like, what the heck? And then I watched the whole thing like years later. It's like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. This is much better when you watch the beginning.
Yeah, because every time I watched Princess Mononoke, it was like, why is he riding a giant elk? I am confused.
It's just, I mean, he just does. He just likes it. It's fine. It's just cool.
It actually gets to the aesthetic that we were kind of talking about for some of the reasons that we really liked Star Wars was because things are created in such a way that just looking at them, you know that there's a reason that things are going on. You don't know it. You don't know why, but
Yeah, it's like
intuit that
purposeful.
it is.
Yeah,
It's very, very purposeful. And yeah, that to me that just really strikes home for that same thing of the way Miyazaki does all of his films. Of everything is very purposeful.
Yeah, I would agree. It's very interesting. And also I think one of the things that makes it, excuse me, we like refreshing is just like the storytelling arc of Japanese media in general is different, right? The whole they don't do the like rising action, like inciting incident, rising action, like the very Western plot diagram that we all learned in school, right? The big triangle thing, right? That's not really a thing. I mean, it is now. They've incorporated some elements of that, but they have a different structure. I'm going to butcher this because I'm doing this from memory, but I think it's called Kinshogen Tetsu or something like that. I don't remember. It's like a 4-part thing. And it's different. It's differently paced. It's differently set up. It goes about telling stories in a different way. So that's one of the parts that you watch it and you're like, oh,
right. It's just I mean, so there's the aspect of visually and then that storytelling, as you mentioned, of it's just different enough where you sit there and at least from Western cultures going, oh, like just you don't get that big resolve all the time.
Yeah, no, there's not always a resolution.
You really don't.
It's not based on problem resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was close. Kishoten Ketsu. Sorry for my Japanese pronunciation.
How do we spell that?
Kisho.
I'm not ready.
Oh,
what? Kisho.
Ten.
Ten.
Ketsu.
Cool.
Kisho. And the O has like a line over it if you want to go for the long vowel sound. Kishoten Ketsu. But it's like a different, like it's basically intro, development, twist, conclusion. That's the shorthand. That's what those stand for. Kishoten Ketsu. I did look this up again. I didn't do all that from memory. But that's what it is. Instead of the weird like thing, it's that 4-part bizarre, and you don't always get like the conclusion doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as Western storytelling with like conclusion, right? It's not like a wrap up. It's just like, oh no, this is how it ends, and that's why sometimes you're like,
Yeah, so that I guess that kind of makes sense because I've been watching a film on Netflix. I just looked it up and it's totally Korean, so that kind of puts my point to mute. But it's
share some of the same elements.
But yeah, so it's called The Kingdom, and it's about wait for it, like ancient or feudal like Japan, but with zombies.
What? Okay.
Right, and so, but it's placed in that kind of manner where it's not all just kind of like, oh, here's the easy thing, and then it's just like, oh, here's this, and so
Yeah, because
That makes
it basically there's not necessarily a conflict, right? Like Western storytelling relies heavily on conflict and then resolution.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
There's some sort of problem that has to be solved, and then something happens, and then it solves it. Right? In this model, it's just kind of like it's over, and so it's not always like you don't always get that same hard wrap up that you get in like a classic thing. This
Mhm.
website actually has the example of Kiki's delivery service laid out in the format. I'll send this to you here in a little bit once I can make this work.
Okay.
But
Very excited.
so you can look at it. But it's kind of interesting. I watched a video on it once, and it's kind of stuck in my brain that it's just a different storytelling format, right? And also a lot of stuff in other media like that is a lot of it is like very implied, right? So they don't just come out and tell you like directly, hey, this is what's going on. So if you are used to watching like mainstream Western media, that's what they do the whole time, like,
Right.
hey, this is exactly what's happening. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening. Like my foreshadowing is so heavy-handed. I can't eat. You're like, can you give me, can you at least pretend that I'm mildly intelligent? I can figure out what you're talking about.
No, why would you want that?
I mean, I want that. It doesn't make it interesting to watch. That's why I don't.
No.
You're like,
Whatever. Me. No, it is nice, and that's without being spoon fed everything. It does make it.
Not all
What?
Western media does that, obviously.
No,
Yeah,
no,
a lot of
but
like the big, like your summer movies are like, okay, I get it. I know.
Sure, there is not much nuance to a Transformers movie.
No, zero.
Or
your Fast series, right? Fast and Furious 86, right? It's not really. Shayna really likes those movies, and she watches them like a bunch when they're on TV.
Yeah.
And I'll sit down and we'll watch them when we're eating, and it'll be like 7, and there's some like really just bizarre plot happening, and I'm just like, remember when these movies were about racing cars? Remember that? That was cool. I like that.
Not how they roll anymore.
Yeah, it's like some really obscure like a heist movie. You're like, what? What? What?
Very elaborate.
Why would you get a mechanic to rob? Never mind. I don't.
Never mind. You know what? We're not gonna think about that.
It's best to not. It kind of doesn't make sense, but.
We are doing well. Everything is not everything's closed. I mean, you can still, when you look at the list of when they say you need a shelter in place or it's important things only, I look at those lists and I get really sad because I don't go anywhere other than those places, I guess, because I don't lead very exciting lives. Because they were giving the list of like all the exceptions, and I'm like, there's so many places. Who has time to go to any other place than that? But Lillian's preschool has been shut down, has been closed, which has been sad. But the teacher has been sending videos for us to watch, and they're like 40 minutes, and we watch them on YouTube. And it's the teacher doing the activities and doing the routine that they used to do when they were in the classroom. Yes, and Lillian and Noah absolutely love this. So that has been huge. That's been really big for them. But it's like we also used to make fun trips to the grocery store, or little things of that nature around town, and we just can't do those anymore. And so the kids have not like been out of the house in like a week and a half, like to go to a different building. Like we go out walks, like we went and rode bikes around our neighborhood today and those kind of things. But as far as
but you can't go
going to a destination, it's not really. We don't really.
Well, I was the same way. Like I don't really go anywhere anyway. So like Monette here is basically the city council and stuff have been like, nope. Most things are closed now. So like I got a text message updates from the place that cuts my hair. They're like, nope, sorry, Dunsky. Basically, it's restaurants that are takeout and the grocery store. And I don't know about some of the businesses. I don't know how they're functioning because there's a lot of industry here. And so I don't really know. But they did this week. They extended our school cancellation break till April 24th.
Yeah, I was seeing. I've been seeing that's school by school district have been slowly extending it.
And again, that's not coming from the state. That was basically the way I understand it. Like the 5 counties in this area, all the superintendents did teleconference meetings and just kind of talked to the county health department, their counties, and each other, and we're like, nope, this is what we're gonna do. So this was like the schools just deciding to do that. It didn't come from DESE. It didn't come from DESE is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in Missouri, by the way. It didn't come from them. It didn't come from the governor, who has literally been useless. It came from just all the superintendents getting school together and being like, we're going to do this because we think this is the best thing to keep everybody safe. So
there's, I know there are pros and cons to that approach. I mean, I tend to really like the idea of empowering as much local authorities to make decisions. But then, I mean, obviously there needs to be some overarching guiding principles.
Great.
Yes, that's the thing. Is that then there needs to be some backfill, some supplies, some I
understand
bigger things.
I understand the conservative ethos of we're going to put it in the hands of the private citizen. Like, that's fine.
Well, it doesn't need to be that much, but
this is kind of like a disaster situation. So, like, could you like do something to help? That'd be great if you would do that, please.
Sure. And that's where I see in this point there's a definitely need for both to be working hand in hand, and that has not really been done. So
no, not in the state of Missouri. Other states, your mileage may vary. In Missouri, it has been the local only.
Have really been leading the way.
Yeah.
So the department remains open. It was I felt it was kind of crummy late Friday last week. They sent out an email saying all buildings, all department buildings and offices are closed to the public. Lock the front doors, put a sign out front, and if they need help, we'll go from there. Because on Monday, the governor said all buildings, all government buildings that don't have public restricted access close immediately. And I was like, did you guys know that was coming out and decide to make this a policy so that we would not be forced to shut down? Because if you did, that's really dirty, and I don't like that at all. Really, like,
I sent you that meme that I sent Aaron, right?
I remember which one you sent me.
The one that was like, if your company forces you to go to work and you get sick, you need to walk up to your boss and hug them and just whisper in their ear, "The Lannisters send their regards."
Oh yeah. Well, Colin's never seen Game of Thrones. He doesn't know.
I know. That's why I always send to Aaron.
Cool.
Thanks. So, I mean, a good chunk of, but even so, a good chunk of my work week has been dedicated to coming up with not policies, but like procedures and work and finding technical solutions to working from home in the instance that we're told to work from home. So I really haven't been doing a whole lot of like work. It's been, well, what if they come on today and say, nobody come in, go work from home? Like because we didn't have a work from home policy. Yeah. I was showing basically my entire office how to use shared folders on OneDrive.
Oh no.
Because
Oh no.
Yeah. Because they were like, well, how this file is on our server, but it's too big to send, and we won't have access to the server when we're at home, or we will, but it will be too slow. And I was like, we just right click it and hit share. And they're like,
Could do that. Oh no. The mythical right click.
How dare you? I know. I did break some brains with that of like, look at all these other things there. And I don't know.
Sub menu.
No, you clicked again. Why would you do that? If they wanted me to see it, they would have showed it in the first one.
Yeah, right.
Well, so. But one of the things I was telling Megan and I have talked about is just how I'm really thankful that we live in a relatively rural area, not very population dense, because transmission rates are super low in these areas. But on the other hand, you're just sitting as a county watching as all these little dots pop up all around you.
Yeah,
just watching the walls. And it's Megan and I said, like LA has been on lockdown for now going on 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the delayed overarching government response, right? You get these places, these hot zone locations where they've been in lockdown for who knows how long, and then like it's just sort of waiting, and if it gets bad enough, then the other like governmental agency is like, okay, no, shut down now for real. You're like, but we did. So like, holy cow, that's the
right. Well, and it's just how long you're sitting under that, not just the anxiety, but just mode of thinking of like
pretty anxiety inducing.
Pretty anxiety. It can be, but just knowing that
it definitely is. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It is knowing that all this is going on the coast and like slowly working its way in towards you, and that everybody, I look at getting on Twitter or look on Instagram or all these places, and it feels like quote unquote everybody has been on intensive lockdown, and I'm looking around us going, well, we really haven't changed anything that we've done. I mean, other than just some shopping here and there or blah blah. So it's kind of this oppressive cloud that's just there that is going on, but you don't really see, you don't really interact with, you just hear about, and that's uncomfortable. And I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, true.
So anyway, that's it's been a every day get into work, sit down, figure out how we're going to solve some things to work from home and continue to collaborate, all while watching the ticker, get news updates sent to your phone about we're number one USA now in the world.
We don't want to be number one in this one. Can we?
Yeah, we dominate everything.
Can we be not number one now? That would be great.
Why would you? No.
Come on.
That'd be ridiculous. It's been fine. I feel fine. I'm happy the weather's pretty nice because I've been able to do stuff out in the yard.
True.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not doing that, but
I cleaned out gutters today. I was about.
We had like a crazy freak hailstorm this afternoon. It's just like, and now it's hailing.
Picture that.
What?
We're supposed to get. We have some tornado threats or whatever later, like late tonight. So we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah, we just had the thunderstorm thing this afternoon. It's like, oh, by the way, rain, hail. Like, whoa, okay. Yeah, that's it. There's no more weather. I was checking the weather here. No. That's all we just had that. So we'll see.
We're risky up here.
Ew.
Yep. Other than that, that's about all we got going on.
Oh,
for better or worse.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Staying. Yeah. Looks like I'm the only one just staying inside all day long, not doing anything.
Well, as I like, I'm ready. Like, I want to be at home.
Yeah.
I that's where I'd like to be.
True. Not in the office.
I would not be in office, not around, sick people or whatever, or, who knows. I would rather just wake up and come into bed, roll over and go to my desk and work. And especially because they were like, well, we expect you to still, this is a storied and historic department. And they did not have any sort of telecommuting or working from home policies until Wednesday
because it's
of
historic.
last week.
So you see,
Yes,
historic, that means we're going to operate the same way we did when we were founded.
Yes. And they did. And there hasn't been a problem with that until now.
Typewriters and carbon copy paper.
Oh, man. If we could get back the typewriters, I'd be all in.
We know you'd be excited.
I know. So bring mine from home. And, where was I going?
Guys, I typed this up in triplicate. What's up?
Yeah, what? You want in on this? I have no idea where that story was going anymore.
Let's just divert back. Go, abort. No more.
Oh no, just the department working on these policies and where it was is they said, well, if you choose to work from home now, you have to clear that with your supervisor and you have to work 8 hours every single day. However,
every day?
Yes, you have to log that time.
Oh yeah.
Have things to submit, even though it's like we're all salaried.
So it literally doesn't matter.
It does not matter, but they were like, you still have to log your time and submit that and all these things. I'm like, what? And
because Mikey Boy hasn't said anything, this is what you get, right?
Right.
Because and then they have no state level response.
Then they said, if your office closes because somebody is sick, then you can work from home. But you don't have to log in 8 hours, but we still expect you to work some. So I approached my supervisor and I was like, so that means like what?
How many hours are you talking?
Is that an hour a day? Is that an 8 hour day? And she was like, well, I'd appreciate it if you guys would work 3 to 5 and then use the rest as what they call administrative leave, which is the kind of leave that they give you if you're closed down for like a storm or snow or those kind of things, and you still get paid for it. So it's different than like your vacation leave or your sick leave. It's like the department's giving you leave to use. It's very weird. But if the governor comes in and closes everything down, then we aren't required to work from home and we can just use all administrative leave. It's very confusing.
Thanks, Mikey. Thanks for helping. So great.
No, I think for the past 3 weeks, I've come home and been like, this is the week they're going to shut it down. Nope. That's not the case. So I think the only so that's the other thing of like my work is not essential to any function of anything remotely important. And yet I'm going into work every day. And I'm hearing all these stories of people who have been telecommuting for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm going, by the time it gets bad enough here in Missouri, those people will have long been since moved on from that. And then I'll be sitting there trying to make fun of, or trying to jump on the working from home bandwagon and all that stuff. And it's like long past.
Yeah, West Coast has been doing it for almost a month, right? Like,
yeah, they have.
Some big cities over there.
They really they have. And so just it's being again very interesting living at being a contemporary of the time, not feeling any of the repercussions really of that.
Yet. As what?
Yet. Yes, that's the thing, is the time delayed and how they're choosing to manage that, of closing portions of the country down, and then there's a new policy that's going to be released soon where every county is going across the country is going to be ranked on a low, medium, or high risk scale. And the high risk counties are the ones that are going to be shut down, but the low risk counties are still going to be left open, and so on and so forth. So there's
Oh yes, I heard about this because yeah, I'm pretty upset about this in general. Right? Like, I feel that this response is not very helpful. Right? I understand that, like, you know, yo, we gotta all this nonsense about we gotta get the economy moving. But like, guys, first of all, do you know that the economy is an entirely made up thing? Like, it's not real, right? You know that, right? Like, it's whatever you say it is. So that's why the stock market's so bizarre, is because it's all pretend, all of it.
Gosh, the day, yeah, that was yesterday, where 3.2 million people had applied for unemployment. The stock market was up 7%. It's third day of
yeah, and you're like, it's because it's all pretend. It's all based on future predictions, right?
Yeah,
and
that's all it is.
Like, it's all it is. It's completely made up. I don't know if anybody else knows this. It's all pretend. It is all 100% a construct of people's minds. It's not like a real thing. So, like, yes, it means X and Y whenever these happen, but like, it'll be okay. Like, people don't. I've never felt like, I always knew that like the government didn't really care about me as an individual, right? But it's weird to hear them like admit it on television, right? Like, well, we just need to, our number one priority is getting people back out to work. Doesn't really matter about their health. We need to get out. That is the most like late Victorian London thing I've ever heard in my entire life, right? Like, outside of reading a Charles Dickens novel, I've never heard that phrase uttered before somewhere. Well, like, what the heck, man? It's like, listen, I understand you love capitalism, and you've obviously never read anything about how it actually works. That's fine, I guess, because you just read it once in an economy textbook, and that was it. You've never read any Adam Smith. You've never read any other economic papers or anything. Like, we just need people to work. We just need bodies to work.
Mm-hmm.
But to what end? Like, there's no reason for that.
Right. Well, and people both sides of the aisle are saying that. Even.
Oh no, I'm not saying this is not
Cuomo and De Blasio.
Yes,
in the hardest
this is not directed at. This is not directed at
no,
a
I'm
single
not
political party. No, I'm just making that clear to anybody listening. Right. This is not beguiling a certain party. This is the entire entity that is the United States government. Right. The whole thing. Don't matter. Right. Doesn't matter what red, blue, could care less. Whatever little dumb letter you have after your name, irrelevant. You've got to stop being so ridiculous, right? The bottom dollar is not the most important thing in this situation, in my opinion, right? It's not. Because if you don't have anybody well enough to do anything,
right,
they're not going to be, nobody can go to work. Nobody can make you any more money. Sorry. I know that's what you really are concerned about. Like, oh my gosh, my wealth hoarding. However, shall I continue? Stop it.
They won't know what to do with themselves. That's all anybody in power knows how to do is hoard more of it.
If you would have read Adam Smith, you would have said, like, oh, wealth hoarding is bad. He said that. Your beloved father of capitalism said that. Okay.
But see, he just didn't. He didn't do it the right way.
He said it was bad.
It's never actually been tried correctly. I don't know if you know this or not. Where we are doing it, we're going to do it the right way.
Are we? Right.
We are. We're going to show the right way to do that. So just watch and learn.
No.
Don't know.
No.
Don't know. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's that even makes me even more depressed. It's a twin strike because it's a public health crisis, and then an economic crisis for no fault of any business owners doing,
No.
right? That's the part that's really frustrating of if there had been a better coordinated effort or whatever, and I think that's probably one reason why those jobless claims were just kind of swept under the rug, because they're like, oh, those aren't real because the government shut everybody down. So obviously people applied for
Yeah, but
unemployment.
they
We're not really.
didn't.
They know the
though.
cause for a lot of that, right? So
Yeah.
we're watching. So Megan and I are in pet sitting business, and when just the people who within the matter of a week and a half just crumbled and shut their doors, and we're like, well, we don't have anything else. Like one guy, he owns a larger company of pet sitters. In 1 week alone, he lost over $40,000 worth of bookings because everything was shut down. And he was like, well, I don't know what we're going to do now.
Yeah,
But and he was a thriving business
yes,
a week the week before.
and this is the problem with a non-centralized like national response, right? I get it. You want to put some sort of name to it that you don't like, like, oh, that's X thing that I'm against that name. Like, okay, shh, this is an emergency. Okay. The beautiful thing about government is if you do a thing, you don't have to keep doing that thing, right? You can later go, okay, we're going to do this thing for 3 months. After 3 months, we will stop doing that thing. Done. It's not a permanent thing. You don't have to make permanent solutions, right? It's not, and I think that's what people kind of don't get, right? Like, you can put expiration dates on things, and then at the end of that time, reevaluate, and then try again. Like, sure, that's a legitimate approach that you can try.
I think the fear, though, is the history does not really show that once people have power or have a position, it's not easy. I mean, think of the policies that are still in place after September 11th, right? Like,
this is true.
The huge loss of personal freedoms.
There was no end date written into that law.
Exactly.
Like the I don't know what you're talking about. The one where the what's it called? I can't even remember.
Freedom of
the freedom of freedom
something.
The Freedom of Information Act.
Yes,
that's what it was. The Freedom of Information Act had no end date written into the law.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It just said blanket date. We now can do whatever we want. What?
Mm-hmm.
But by saying we now can do whatever what we want until X date, right? That forces you to reevaluate later, right? Because it elapses. To say, on this date, it stops. Done.
Right.
Right. And so you are forced to reevaluate a situation and do something like that. I know all this it sounds like awful and like a super whatever name you want to put to it. But like that, it affecting that, in my opinion, affects businesses more when you just say, well, figure it out. And then don't tell them like, hey, close down for X days.
Right.
Right. Because if you are saying close, right, people can figure out how to help employees, stuff like that, pass some measures to get this ridiculous amount of money that I'm going to get now, allegedly, from the government. Here's your $1,000, buddy. Like,
hey, just get ready for next year's when you go to file taxes. Get ready for that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
how much of that you want back? All of it?
I owe exactly how much you gave me. Oh no.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well,
right?
yeah.
That's cool.
There's that meme where it says like, well, we gotta shut you down for 3 or 4, and the guy's like, days, weeks, months, and he goes, could be 5, and you're like, wait a minute, you didn't answer my question.
Yeah, but here's $1,000. Woo-wee. That's so cool. I mean, listen, I appreciate that you are attempting to do something. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That's good.
I mean,
That's fine.
the economy is in the problem. It is because the government did something. So obviously, they need to rectify the problem that they pushed it.
Yes.
I just a lot of things that go into that as to what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do. The thing is that nobody knows.
Well, no, nobody knows. It's an unprecedented situation. But like, just sort of going, oh, it's probably gonna be fine, is not
Right.
not really an answer that would be great, So it's just especially when you see how many people in other countries are like suffering because of this, and then just being like, yep, that's the thing that's happening. Anyway, like, but hold on, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, it gets a whole new meaning to the whistling past the graveyard. Oh no.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Not. It's very. It's funny you bring up whistling. It brings to mind Nero, right? That's kind of the immediate,
the
unfortunate parallel that can be drawn, right? Just the indifference of, well, yep, sure is on fire. Anyway, play my fiddle, right? Like, And again, this is not directed at a singular person. Okay, this is
right.
The mass.
All thems.
Yeah. This is not a single target shot at anybody, because nobody is really doing anything worthwhile.
Unfortunately not.
And they can't even like stop time to play. Like, they can't even stop playing their ridiculous little games long enough to pass a relief bill. Like, oh well, I'm gonna reject this one because somebody put this clause in there. Like, what? How hard is it? How hard is it? Why do you got to write a bill with 87,000 extraneous clauses that are not useful to anybody? Stop it. Right?
Never let a good crisis go to waste. First rule of politics is that whenever you are handed this, you must, because everybody knows that we're all rushed, and everybody knows the other side wants to get this done quickly. So, what are they willing to just let slide?
What's the term? Is it pork barrel? Right? And
pork barrel.
Pack on random junk.
Yes.
Come on, dude. What
one of the things that they wanted was 35 in the bill that was just passed. Something that was removed was a line item for $35 million to go to some performing arts center. The JFK Performing Arts Center. That's what it was. That was in the bill. That was removed from a bill that was like their first draft. And you're like, why did you put that in there?
Like, I would understand if you wanted to put it to like a university, like hospital.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I would understand.
Absolutely.
That would make more sense if you're going to like research laboratories.
Yes, in a huge multi-million-dollar endowment to the nation's research laboratories. Absolutely. Yes. But no, this was again, I think people who have listened to enough of our episodes will understand our love and adoration and admiration of performing arts.
Yes.
To put it in a pandemic bill
is not the time. Okay.
Maybe not the time.
Not the time or place for that.
Oh, no. Anyway.
Make a private donation, get your name on a building. That's fine. Whatever. Don't why? You put it in there. That's ridiculous.
And both, everybody was trying to do that kind of thing because
this is literally an endemic, systematic. Systemic. That's the word I'm looking for. Systemic problem.
Everybody saw the potential price tag, and as it got larger, they went, "Oh, well, what's another couple $1 million to throw in there?
Yeah.
Or what's another couple? What's $1 billion or $2 billion?
Stop playing your games. Like, it's not game time.
Yeah,
it's not time to play. Okay, this is why. This is. Stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we're going to name this episode the phrase "dirty rotten pixies" that came up earlier. And I think that perfectly summarizes.
I like it.
Everything.
Watch Carnival Row. Good.
Carnival Row. Or Row. Well, guys.
I'm saying it's good. I've only watched 4 episodes, so it could take a bad turn. I'll let you know next time.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's our homework. Brandon will update us on Carnival Row,
as well as get some book reviews, because I'll have been reading some books now. So you get some book reviews. You get a little.
I'm excited for this.
I mean, one of them you're not going to be excited about. One of them is a very academic text, and you're going to be like, "Wow, why are you reading that?" But it's fine.
Yeah.
The other one, yes, I will have things to say about the other one. So,
Okay.
dun dun dun.
And Brandon, book review corner.
Yes. Put that on the list.
Carnival Row, Brandon book review corner. Perfect.
I'll try to remember to watch some more Carnival Row because I keep being like, I got sucked into the archery thing, and I couldn't get. I couldn't get out. I've been trying to schedule out, right? Because I've been sitting at home for 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, yeah, 2 weeks. Like if you just sort of sit down in the morning whenever you get up, and just have this bevy of options that is look at random media, do some schoolwork, whatever. I've had to sort of like, okay, I'm going to watch YouTube for this amount of time. And then I'm going to read one of these books for this amount of time. I'm going to play a video game for a little while. Because like, otherwise you get this sort of like, I don't really know what to do.
Right.
And
yeah, that schedule isn't so important.
Yeah, because there's nothing. You're just like, So then in the afternoon, I like sit down and like after lunch, usually I'll get on my iPad from school and like do some stuff for the kids, right, and all that, and answer any emails I've gotten, stuff like that. Like, it's just sort of like kind of blocking out, very vague blocking out of time where I can kind of figure out what in the world's going on.
It's important though. It really is.
Because otherwise you sort of sit and you're like, I don't really know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, it's been weird.
Okay.
But
yeah. Well, we'll get an update on that next time too.
Here we go.
There's so many updates.
Yes, it's good.
Maybe, yeah. Okay. Well, survive another week.
It's planned.
Yeah. Ditto. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Alrighty.
Sounds good.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you.